Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whoever and wherever you are. This is Lee, and we're on the Game of Tongues, where we work on speech anxiety in all its forms. And right now, we are talking to Stu. Say hello, Stu.
Hello.
Let's put some passion into that. Hello, ladies and
Hello.
gentlemen.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
There we go, and boys and girls, and I don't know who's there. Old people, young people, everybody. Stu is from Ireland. He's in his 30s, and he's married. He has several children. He stuttered since age 7, medium to 60%. Um, he's read. He just told me that he'd read my book 3 times, and he said, I'm quoting from emails. He said his speech has been the best in his life. He says he's practiced the crutches and the autosuggestion treatments constantly during the day, and he has simply stopped stuttering using Crutch 8 in particular. Um, and that's Crutch 8 has 3 things in it: modulation, changing the voice register, and using passion. So it's a complex number. And he's using mainly changing register, and that will work. As
It
long as
does.
you don't stay in one register too long.
Yeah.
Why is that? It's because to stutter, we got to focus on stuttering. And if you're thinking about what register I'm in, you can't be thinking about stuttering.
Yeah.
You got to make a choice. So when you're thinking about your register, you're not going to stutter. And if you do stutter, it's because you're not thinking enough about the register. You drifted back. Look, stuttering, that all those neurons, that big block of neurons in your brain going back to when you were 7 years old, it's a big, strong block, but it's
Yeah.
breaking up. It's getting weaker, and and it will break up and dissolve. But it's like a magnet. Every time you start talking, it draws you in, and that's why we say in Crutch 11, have a lot of full stops. Every few words, you have a full stop, and then you talk some more, and then you talk some more. Sometimes you talk quite a bit before you stop, but usually not more than 5 words. Somewhere between 1 and 5 words, usually, you throw in a stop. And every time you do, Satan falls off your back to the ground,
Yeah.
and he has to climb back up. He never gets back up before you stop. And every
Yeah.
time you start again, you're focused on a crutch until the day comes that you don't have to do it. And all of a sudden, you just realize, I don't need to do that anymore. Speaking is like breathing. It's like swallowing. It's like blinking. It's totally natural. And if you and I will stop thinking words, we're going to be just great. Our speech is going to be A-OK. But that's the trick, not to think words. And the longer that we talk in a continuum, the more we tend to, when we hesitate for a split second and continue, there tends to be a, I got in trouble. No, I didn't. I'm doing that intentionally. When you talk in a continuum, there tends to be problems tend to crop up.
Yeah.
For now,
Crutch 11, I find, is a very, very underrated crutch because you can speak in a couple of words, maybe 3, 4 words, and then stop, and then speak another 3, 4 words, and it that has gotten me through some ropey times, like some, when it's been very. That's just an Irish term, by the way, Lee. Ropey's an Irish term, so it's got me through some times where I've had to speak aloud in groups, and I thought, okay, Crutch 11, so I need to a couple of words at a time, and it has really saved. It saved the
exactly.
day, really. It
You're
has,
not
yeah.
going to get in trouble doing that. You're just not going to do it. And also, of course, Crutch 11 also asks you to talk in a soft voice.
Mhm.
The reason being, as we may have discussed, is the softer your voice, even down to a whisper, the lower the stress level, the lower your blood pressure. It takes less effort. And when you speak softly, you feel like the spotlight on you has been removed. You're now on a dark stage talking. They can't even see you. That's the way it feels. Or they can see a silhouette. They're not all focused on you saying, "Oh, is Stuart gonna stutter again?" There's no light there. That's why a soft voice. I used to go between a soft voice and a whisper quite a bit. Rarely, very rarely did anyone say, "Why do you talk so softly?" Why? Unless I whispered the whole time. Then they said, "Why are you whispering?" And I said, "I have a sore throat." Oh, they didn't care. They never asked me again. The more crutches you use, the sooner you won't need any. The better you get, the sooner you're free. And crutch 13 means exactly what it says. Speaking without thinking. About words.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, but not about words or speech or how I sound. I'm not thinking about that. I'm thinking about my message, my urge, my impulse. I don't have to think crutches. Once in a blue moon, I do. Even now. How can that be after 4 decades? I don't know. Am I afraid of it? Absolutely not. Do I feel as fluent as anybody? Yes. I can't imagine feeling more fluent. 99% of the time. I say I'm 99% stutter-free Lee. When I wrote the first edition in 2015, I said I was 97% stutter-free Lee. When I wrote the second edition in 2017, I said I was 98% stutter-free. And when I wrote the third edition in 2019, I released it then, I said I was 99%. I'm improving. Isn't that nice? I get rewarded too for helping you guys. Isn't that nice?
Absolutely.
I'm hoping someday you'll help somebody else in Ireland or Scotland or
It's
London.
funny you should say that, Lee. I got a message from somebody a couple of weeks ago. The girl is like, she's like a counsellor, and she sent me a message and said, "Sure, I've got a guy here who has got a stammer, and he's going to get married in a couple of months' time, and he's terrified of the speech." So I obviously recommended your book, and said that he should contact you. And he also said that if he needs me to have a chat to him, I can also have a chat to him about it. Um,
If he comes to me
but
and he cites your name, I will help him, and I
okay,
will also ask him, I will also ask you to help him separately
perfect.
from me,
Of course,
and
yeah,
then coordinate with me and tell me. I'm going to copy you with every email that I send to him, and he's going to see that. No
okay,
secrets, no
absolutely,
secrets.
yeah, of course, yeah,
And because I want you to know what I tell him to do, and I want to know what you tell him to do. I always
absolutely,
begin the email with a little summary of what was the Skype. The Skype was good or it wasn't so great or whatever. What did we do? I talk about that. And then I say, what's your homework? What do you need to do? I put
yeah,
that down and that's it. And I try
yeah,
and do that after every call. I can't always do it because sometimes I have so many calls so close together, I can't do it. Then I forget because your name runs into the next name, into the next name, and it's
yeah.
all
I
a
know,
blur. I got to do it
I
right
get that.
away to
Yeah,
do it. But I love to do that. And you know something? I have helped a number of people with their wedding vows. And you know something, Stuart? Every single one of them had a banner wedding. They knocked
It
the
was the
ball out of the
worst day
park.
of my life, Lee. It was the worst day of my life. It was my wedding was the worst day of my life. Like how terrible is that? My wedding
Oh
was the worst
God.
day of my life. Yeah. It was. I hated every minute of it. Now I got through the vows. I didn't do a speech. I just avoided a speech. I said I wasn't doing one, which I regret now.
Yeah.
But I got through the vows. Okay, but the speech I avoided, and you know, you kind of feel like you kind of feel like you're. This is going to sound odd, but you kind of feel like you're not really a man because you kind of spurned the opportunity to do what you should have done.
Yeah.
You know, you get that, Lee? It's just like
Sure. Of course.
I kind of just
I did
like
it
sort of
in
shied
so
away and
many
hid.
situations. I was best man at my one of my best friends' weddings out of law school, a Greek guy, and they had a huge wedding and Greek dancing and the fatted cows and calves were all there and everything.
Yeah,
And I was supposed to make a talk. I kept avoiding it. finally, finally, I had something written, but finally the guy, the groom, cornered me. Said, "Lee, make the toast, man. You're really embarrassing me." And he's a guy who never really heard me stutter because like we're in law school together, there are 300 people in the class, and you rarely get called on. And when I did, again, I had the crutches, whatever. I was in my 20s then. I was creating them as I went, you know. And but he
yeah.
had never really heard me stutter, and so I I got through this thing, but it was short. It was short, and it wasn't what I'd really wanted to do, you know. And of course, the
Yeah.
thing is, by the time I got to be about age 30, I didn't stutter. And I mean, I could cover it, you'd never know, but I sweated talking like there was no tomorrow. My hands would get real clammy, my sweat would run down my sides, my
Yeah.
shirt would stick to me, run down my face.
Yeah.
It was tough. So very slowly over a period of about 10 years all that went away. And by the time I was in my late 30s, I've said this in my book. I, I gave 48 speeches in 1 year to various conventions. Huge. Some of them had thousands of people in the audience with TV
Fantastic.
cameras and stuff. And I was on TV, I was on radio and this and that. And I didn't miss a beat. But you know what I did? I would type out my speech in advance and memorize it. I would triple space it. Triple. And every word that was a problem, like I had problems with L's because my name is Lee Lovett, so naturally I had problems with that was huge. I had problems with
Yeah.
R's, I had problems with W's, and but I had other problems too. But when I would practice the speech, any place I had a problem, I put in about 2 or 3 synonyms above the word.
Yeah. So you take your pick. Yeah. Genius.
They never heard me stutter. I had law partners to this day who say, "Lee, I never knew you stuttered, much less heard you stutter." I've always,
People actually tell me that quite a bit
and that's good,
whenever I
and
talk
that's
about
where
it.
we're going, because your
Yeah.
days of stuttering are finished. You may not know it yet, but they're finished.
The biggest problem I have, Lee, is inside my head.
Of course.
That's I think about it too much. I
Well, you
think,
can't. And
I
every
know,
time you
I
think
know.
about it, what do? You've got to take, there are two battles. Stopping stuttering is one battle. Eliminating fear is another battle. It's a totally different battle.
Yeah.
I don't say enough about that distinction in the book, but I did put section 16 in there, post cure war against fear. And belatedly, I've come to realize only as I wrote, I learned from you guys. I learn every time I Skype with somebody, I learn something. That's why I've written the book 3 times. 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19. In 5 years, I've written that book 3 times. And it's now almost 600 pages. I could improve it now. And in fact, I'm doing a lecture series on the book, which is there's a company that wants to have an exclusive license to market my methods, and I'm going to let them do it because I can't coach 70 million people,
Yeah.
and I don't have the time or the skill sets to market my methods. So this company's going to do it, and I said, okay. All I say is I get to approve your products. If my name's on them, I got to approve them. That's number one. And number two, you got to put them out there at a price that I think people can afford. And I mean way down. And we've agreed on some numbers. So, and I don't own this company, and I'm not an officer or director of it, but they will pay me a percentage of profits. That's fine. And I'm going to put that into Speech Anxiety Anonymous. I'm going to try and build that organization up and have more coaching and whatever. So that's kind of where I'm going. And but in any event, getting back to what were we talking about? The wedding and your fears
Yeah.
in your head. That's
Yeah.
every fear you got to treat like I asked you to be a speech cop. I ask you when you get up to the stutterer's cliff and you're right about to go off the edge and go and go into free fall. You're not going to do it. You're going to pull back. It's the same thing with fear. As the fear starts coming, you immediately start fighting it. You immediately start supplanting that negative thought with a positive one. I love to speak. I love to say my name, Stuart. I love to speak. I love to speak. I love to speak. I love to say my name, Stuart. I love to speak. 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 When I speak, calm floods my body. When I speak, calm floods my body. Fight it. Every single fear. Shove it out. You can say now, I know how to avoid any stutter. That should be one of your affirmations now. Write that down, please. I know how to avoid any stutter. And start saying that one constantly. Also, you want to, I know you do, so I won't make it a question. To eradicate the fears, record your autosuggestions in an animated voice and play that recording as much as you can throughout the day in your idle times. You're sitting at a bus stop, you're walking your dog in the park, you're on your stationary bicycle, you're driving to work, whatever. In one ear, put the little device and you can hear your affirmations. And if you can, say them along with them. And that's during the day as much as you can. And at night, you make a recording in a monotone voice. Every day and every way, my speech goes better and better. Every day and every way, my speech goes better and better. Each affirmation 20 times and play it very, very, very softly as you sleep. And that's your mind. As you know, your subconscious mind never sleeps. Only your conscious mind sleeps. Hypnosis is a Greek word meaning sleep. And when you are in a sleep state, that's when you can hypnotize. That's when you can feed your brain. And you need to feed your brain. I shall, I shall have, no, I shall reject. One of your affirmations should be, I shall reject all fears of speech. So add those two. And
Oh,
and 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 know this. If you can be a speech cop, you can be a fear cop. And it's just as serious now. You cannot afford to have any stutter, any bad incident. Can you go? I left my book in the car, and I had to go back to it, and it made me late to work. And but it was kind of funny because I do. That's the way normal people talk, and you cannot punish yourself for that. You just can't. When you have when you appear debilitated, that's what you can't afford. You
yeah, no, I've
can't.
become very good at that, Lee. As in, I would have been a perfectionist before, where
Forget
if
it.
I had have stumbled at all, then that would have been that's a
No,
fail. But from taking on your coaching and stuff, I now know that people stumble over their words.
they
It's
do.
what people do. So I give myself a pass I can't
Exactly.
remember the last time I really struggled. I genuinely can't actually remember the last time I had a really bad incident where I didn't get my message across and somebody would have thought that there was any issue there. I can't remember the last time.
What
So
you think it's a couple of months or more?
um there's one incident that I'm probably going to give myself a pass on, but I can't. There wasn't.
If
Yeah,
it's
that
if
was a.
it's a question, it's a pass.
It's a
It's
pass. Yeah.
got to
So
be
no.
clear that it's a failure. You can't be
Yeah.
anything on the borderline because that's what people do. That's what fluent speakers do. They do that all the time. They just don't punish themselves for it. That's why they don't
Yeah.
stutter. They
Absolutely.
do
Yeah.
stutter, but it's not fear driven.
Yeah. Yeah. So no, it would be probably. I can't remember. Yeah, it would probably be over a couple of months. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to say you should to help in part of your curing process is to admit your own progress. You must be willing to do that. If you're not willing to admit it, that means you're not really committed to what you're doing. You haven't accepted it, and you can't really move forward until you do that. That's why posting a success story is good for you. It also helps other people because you can go on SAA and read those stories. They're inspiring, aren't they, Stuart? Those stories,
They are. Yeah, they are.
and they're
They are.
all true. And some of the longest ones, every word was written by the student. And in some cases, they don't speak English. I write them, or what? Or they're English. They can't write it. Some cases, I write them and they edit them. But most people write their own, at least in part. But I think you should. I think, and that doesn't mean we quit Skyping. We should Skype until once you posted a success story. Then what? Your next step is to learn, is to teach yourself to be able to say, "I love to speak." Anywhere,
Yeah.
anytime. It's no longer I can speak anywhere, anytime. It's I love to. That's different.
Yeah.
And that's the next step. I want you to love to speak. And I'm trying to form a speech club too with this group that's come to me. And I'm trying to form a speech club for people with speech anxiety, not just stutterers, but anyone who has a lot of fear of public speaking, whether they stutter or not. And we're going to have a speech club for this, and I hope you'll join that. And it's going to be,
Absolutely.
it's a chance to kind of like we go in baby steps, and we
Yeah.
just keep going. But you don't want to quit this process. You're not finished, in my opinion.
No, I don't want to, Lee. And I was going to have a conversation with you, like about that, because I suppose that was the fear that that if I do like a success story, the fear was that then I don't Skype with you anymore,
Oh
and
no,
then
you're
I
going
kind
to
of
Skype with me.
maybe
You can't get
you
rid of
know.
me, and I'll tell you, I don't quit anybody. I never quit anybody. People quit me sometimes. They get tired of me and they
Yeah.
quit. But I don't quit anybody. I want everybody to go. I mean, I can't Skype as much as I used to, but I Skype with you once a month. And if you want it, and I might suggest it too. I have I've got several other coaches that are helping me, and you might enjoy. If you want more than once a month, I can arrange it for you with somebody else. They'll give you a slightly different perspective. And
Yeah, no, I would like that, Lee. I would like maybe possibly to do kind of more than one once a month. Yeah, I
okay,
think I would
well,
like that.
I'm going to tell you then. I'm going to recommend. Um, I'm going to have somebody contact you of a female lawyer from South Africa. She's actually quite pretty, and and she speaks beautifully, and she had a nasty stuttering problem that kept her from practicing law. And she got into my book and she overcame it and so forth. And now she's practicing law. Um, and so upward and onward we go. And she's a great girl and she's very enthusiastic. And her name is Tasneem. And I will email her or have her email you, one of the
Perfect.
two. Um, for Stewart. And you don't have to. I mean, if you Skype with her once a month, or I mean, it's up to you two. And Skype is do what you want to do. Um,
Yeah.
but we stay at this until you can say, I love to speak. And when you get there, then the only remaining thing is the last step in my program is the adoption of a regimen of daily mind training for life. That it addresses things other than speech. It begins to move as speech needs diminish. Eventually, they zero out. I haven't said an affirmation for my speech in 40 years, but I do a lot of other things. I say, today I shall reject anger in all its forms. That's a major one for me. That's really big. I can't afford to be angry because I hurt myself and I hurt other people every time I'm angry. And I always regret it. And I never achieve my goals. Anger is a terrible thing. The only thing worse is hatred and violence. Anger is a terrible thing. And it should be zeroed out just like stuttering.
Absolutely.
So that's the kind of thing I fight. I've written another book called Speech Anxiety 2 TO, Public Speaking. And that's going to be out soon, in a month or so. And it's kind of a next step kind of book. It's shorter. It's only a couple hundred pages. A third the size of my stuttering beast. But no, I think. Would you like to write your success story? Do you want me to write something based on your emails and what you've said and send it to you? And
No, I
you
can do it, Lee. You're busy enough. I can do it. I can
good,
do it myself.
good.
I
I
will.
love
I'll do
that.
it. I'll do it myself.
I love that because and just think of it as it's a step for you toward your. It's a further securing. It's a further claim. Like you're staking territory. You're
Yeah, you're
climbing
kind
a
of
mountain.
throwing, you're kind of throwing your hat over the wall.
Exactly,
You're
exactly.
kind of saying,
You got
yes,
to do it. You got to
I've got
do it.
it.
Because
Yeah.
otherwise, it's kind of like you're afraid to admit your own success, and that tends to take you backwards. You got to claim your ground. You're doing great with your speech. Your speech is great, and you've got to take a bow for that and say, hey, pat yourself on the back and keep replaying all your positive instances. Anytime you have an instance that you don't like, an incident that you don't like, for a few minutes say to yourself, what could I have done to make that a happier experience? What might I have done?
I do that. Yeah.
Stop talking,
No,
whisper, change my register, use modulation. Um, what? There's something. There are a lot of things you could have done. Think about that for a couple of minutes, and then bury that incident, and don't ever think about it again. Try to resist it.
okay.
Remember the lesson. Learn your lessons, but don't dwell on your mistakes. Because what you dwell on, what you fear shall come upon you, the Bible tells us. We know that. So we're not going to fear it. We have no fear about these things. We have no reason to. We are in control. If you did nothing else but think extreme pronunciation, speak slowly, well, you would, pronouncing things so clearly, and use full stops, you'd never, ever stumble again. You have to be able to think about pronunciation. I'm from Ireland, not Scotland. And just pronounce every syllable. If you can do it with feeling, all the better. And insert full stops every few words and keep right on talking. No one will think of your speech as anything less than extremely good. You will become a model for the people around you. I promise you. You
I
won't
believe
even
you.
you won't even have to try. You're just going to become a model. By doing these things, you're going to become a model. That's why stuttering was a blessing, mate. You're going to speak better than you ever would have spoken had you not stuttered. And you're going to gain control of your mind. You're going to accept the fact that you can dictate your thoughts. As the psychiatrist said in the front of my book, don't you love what he said in the dedication in my book? Don't you love what he said?
Yes.
Do you remember it?
Yeah. I do remember it. Yeah.
And I quote it and 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 quote it. We have free choice to accept or reject thoughts. Nothing compels us to think anything except our own desires. So use your mental switch. Believe that you can improve, and you will. That's what we want to live our lives by. Not just about speech, but about everything. Your relationships with your family and your friends and your employers and your neighbors. The way you think about your own life. The way you think about your problems. If you do, life is not only how we make it. Most importantly, it's how we perceive that we made it. I have another call.
That's no problem, Lee.
Hold on just a second.
Okay.
Let me see if I can answer it on here.
Okay.
Taylor, can I? Are you on your mobile phone or are you on your computer? Hey, can you call me back in 15 minutes? I'm on a call with a guy in Ireland. Oh, we are going to start in 15 minutes? Oh, okay. Okay. Can you call me back in 7 minutes? Thank you. Okay. So, okay. Anyway, it's how you perceive it. And you know, Stuart, how you and I perceive our lives is up to us. I
Yeah.
get to say, is my life good or bad? Is it improving or is it deteriorating? Am I doing better or worse? I get to say, I get to be my own judge of me. Life is about Lee versus Lee. It's not about anybody else. If Lee can conquer Lee, he's going to be okay. He's going to have a good life. Can you conquer you? That's the question. And stuttering is a first step, and you're saying, yes, I can. I'm doing it. I've done it. And I'm going to keep doing it. And I'm going to spread it to other things. And I'm going to be able to say, like that maniac in Bermuda says, stuttering was a blessing in my life. Believe me. You're going to say that. And you're going to mean it. I'll see you in a month. I'll have Tasneem contact you. Talk to her
No problem.
too. And have a great month. Write me a success story and email it to me. I'll tweak it and send it back to you.
No problem at all, Lee. Thank you very much. Hope you have a nice Christmas.
You do the same, mate. Merry Christmas. Bye
All the
bye.
best, Lee. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Cheers. Bye bye.
So, just remember, if you can say one word anywhere, anytime, you too can say any word anywhere, anytime. And you can prove it just as has Stuart. Have a great Christmas or Hanukkah or whatever it is you celebrate. Take